Hey y'all, Miss Norton here. So today we are working on form and value. So we are going to learn how to create 3D forms and add value to really push them and make them look realistic. So you're going to need a piece of paper today, and you're going to need a pencil. On Canvas, there is a section with form notes. It's a little slideshow talking about forms and has some examples of forms in the art world. Make sure you know the difference between organic and geometric form because that is very important to know. Coffee break. So we are going to be drawing. So I'm going to turn and kind of lower you guys so you can see my sketchbook, so you can see as I talk through drawing some forms. So the first one that we're going to do is my favorite, and it's going to be a sphere. So to start with a sphere, you need to have just a circle. Does not have to be perfect. Do the best that you can. So here's my circle. So we are going to make this 3D. We're going to turn our circle into a sphere. So to do that, you need to add value or add some shadows to it. So to start, we are going to pick where our light is coming from. So we need to have a light source on our page. So for that, I'm going to draw a flashlight or a light bulb or a sun. So I'm going to say that my light is coming from this side, which means if I drew an arrow, that section right here is going to be my lightest section. So this is going to be white. Ta-da! So I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to draw a little, kind of like a half circle to show that that's going to be my white section of my sphere. So that's where all the light is. I'm going to make a couple more U shapes down, and I'm going to break my sphere into a value scale. So I'm going to go to the next one. The next one. So now I have space to create a value scale. This section here is going to be white because it is the section closest to the sun. So if I follow to the opposite side, because this is furthest away from my sun, this is going to be my darkest area. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that in. I'm going to use lots of pressure to make it black. And I'm going to make this the darkest part of my sphere. Let me color it really quick. Remember to get your darkest pressure with pencil, or your darkest value with pencil, use a lot of pressure. So that would be my darkest value. Now I'm going to move up to my next ring, and that's going to be a medium one. I'm going to do less pressure because I'm getting a little closer to the sun, and that means my color or my value is going to be lighter. I'm going to move more towards white. So this would be my medium tone value. And then this one is going to be very, very light. Not a lot of pressure. It's super light gray. And it looks something like this. Now you can go in and kind of blend with your finger to get rid of the lines that you've created on your sphere. I'm going to erase this first one because I think I made it a little bit dark. But now I've created a sphere with some shadows, like so. The lines are put in so it helps you know where your value scale starts and ends. But this is my sphere with shadows. The shadows that I create on my shape, this is going to be called your core shadow. So I'm going to just label that core shadow. Underneath your shape, I have my sun. Across, I'm having my darkest value. Next to my darkest value, I'm actually going to have what's called a cast shadow. So this is when the sun kind of creates a shadow on the ground. So I'm going to just draw an oblong shape, so kind of like a stretched out circle. And this is going to be pretty dark underneath my circle because that's where it's getting no light. But it kind of fades out as it goes further along the floor. Like so. So this is called my cast shadow. Sorry that it's sideways. But I'm going to just turn you for a second. So here is my sphere. I have my light source hitting the lightest part. Then it goes to a little darker to my darkest area that's furthest away from the sun. Then I created a cast shadow. It is darker underneath my shape because the shape is blocking the light, and then gets lighter as it goes further out. That would be my sphere. Now I'm going to practice my cube. Cubes are a little tricky to draw, so there's two ways you can do it. There's a trick where you draw a square. So a square. Then you're going to draw another square. And then you just connect the corners. And this would be your cube. I'm actually going to erase the inside stuff because we don't have x-ray vision and we are going to shade these. But this would be a cube doing that trick. Oops. Another trick that you can do, I'm going to do this sideways just so y'all can see. You draw a line down, then you turn it into an arrow. Then from this arrow, you're going to do two lines that are parallel with that middle line, and you're going to make this a book. Then on top of your book, you're going to make a square. Now you have a cube. Now for a cube, you're going to have a couple corners. So I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. So I'm going to have my light source here on side A, which means this corner is going to be my lightest corner. So this is where all my light is going to hit. Then I'm going to move further out and draw another ring and one more ring. This side is not going to get any light, the side furthest away from the sun. So if my sun is here, side C and D is going to be the darkest because it is the furthest away from the sun. So I actually color this whole side black because it is the furthest away from the sun, like so. Now, because it's black over here, these sections that are touching side C and side D, those are also going to be my darkest shade. So I can go ahead and shade those in. And then I'm going to get a little bit lighter with my pressure into my next one. And even lighter in my next one to create my value scale on my cube. And again, you can come in and erase this line in the first section and kind of blend your other ones so it looks a little smoother. And then the last part would be the cast shadow for my cube. So my cast shadow is going to be on the bottom edge of my darkest side. And again, it's just like an oblong, a stretched out kind of square rectangle. It's going to be the darkest at the bottom because that part is being blocked from the sun. And then it's going to fade out to be a little bit of a lighter cast shadow. Something like this. You might even have a little come down from here because this side has the darkest edge right here. So that would be my cast shadow for my cube. My very last example is going to be a pyramid. So when I'm doing a pyramid, I draw a triangle. Then I'm going to draw a kind of like an L. So this is my bottom part, and then I'm going to have this part. That would be the L. And then I'm going to connect this part, and that would be my pyramid. Then I'm going to take a sun. So this would be my light source. So this side is going to be my lightest side. So all my light is hitting right here because it's the closest. So that means this side is facing away from the sun. So I can go ahead and darken that because it's not getting any light on it. It's going to be my darkest section. So here, I'm going to start drawing my rings out because I know here would be my darkest section. It is the furthest point away from the sun. Then I'm going to get a little bit lighter in my next section, then extremely light in my next section, until I make it all the way to my white side. So again, the darkest side would be the side facing away from the sun. Then I'm going to have this kind of dark edge here that gets a little bit lighter and lighter until we hit here, the side closest to the sun, where it is, sorry, I keep dropping that, the lightest. For my cast shadow, I would come over here to my darkest side, and again, oblong shape, so a stretched out triangle, something like this. I would do very dark at the bottom edge because that section is blocking the sun. And then I would go ahead and get lighter as you get further back. So go ahead and practice a sphere, a cube, and a pyramid. These are all geometric forms with value. I can't wait to see how you guys do. Good luck. Please let me know if you have any questions. This is going to be our art notes for today.